So you have your website up and you have some idea of how much you should charge as a photographer. Now it's time to actually go out and find that work. So in this video, I'm going to give you my top tips for where and how to find jobs. So the first place is online, website hunting. So there are lots of jobs you can find on Indeed.com, Craigslist.com, or even other sort of freelance places like elance.com, freelancephotojobs.com, or ifreelance.com. And it's basically the same for all of those websites. You have to create a profile, or you find jobs that are posted and you just respond to them. And the main thing is to be up to date, keep checking on a daily basis. I would set a time in the morning to, just put in your 5 minutes of checking online for jobs, because these jobs get filled up fast. I work at a university that sometimes hires out for photographers and other creative positions, and they put out the call, and within the first few hours they have hundreds of responses. And so I don't want you to go crazy being online all the time, but I think that you should have a ritual about checking online and send them your information. You don't have to send a huge detailed email to everyone, but send them to your website that has all the information they need. The next thing is to use social media. One way to do this is to add freelance or freelance photographer or both as one of your interests, or have it on your about page, because sometimes people are out looking for these things and they just search for freelance photographer on LinkedIn or Facebook, and maybe you'll pop up. Another thing is to follow different companies online, and sometimes, especially on Twitter or Facebook, companies will actually put out a call for positions. And so you can either follow companies, or you can search hashtags or just search on Twitter things like freelance photographer or freelance or photographer or freelance wanted, freelance needed, all these things to see if there are companies out on social media looking for photographers. The next idea to get freelance work is to work on crowdsource projects. 99 Designs is a website I mentioned that you can use to create a design for you, but there's also different types of work like photography, and there's other ones like Design Crowd or CrowdSpring. And basically you see the project profile, you submit a sample or the real deal, and if they choose your photo, then you win that deal and you make money from it. Another way is to get listed in directories or resource pages. This is important if you're an event photographer and you've worked at a specific space before or doing weddings. You can ask the locations, if they have a website such as the hotel or restaurant or wherever, to put you in their resource page. Oftentimes clients will go to these restaurants or places that they're having their event, and they'll ask, who's a photographer that you know who will do a good job for this? So it's a great thing to do, and it's very localized. And doing what I've said before about website hunting and social media is good, but really getting down to the local word of mouth, finding people in your community to hire you is a better, more successful way. So then the last thing for finding freelance photography is to reach out to friends and family. I mean, this seems obvious, but you never know who knows who that is wanting to hire a photographer for whatever, whether it's a birthday party or a new product that they're launching at work. I've had people request all of the above. And so reaching out to friends and family is a good idea, and more than just a tweet or a Facebook message, but really having a conversation with your family and friends and saying you're launching your photography business, and if they know anyone that's looking for photography, then you're there. So those are some places to find freelance work, and then I just have some basic tips. One is to respond to emails as fast as you can. Now, this seems obvious, but as I mentioned before, if you're finding work online, people and these companies that are hiring make decisions really quickly. And so you really need to be on top of your emails. Next is to keep a list of contacts. Now, this is important because every year or every so often, you can do a blast email out to your contacts. One way to do this is at the beginning of every year, you should be increasing your prices with the year. And what you can do is send an email out to all of your previous clients saying, hey, I'm really glad that I got to work on this project with you. I'm upping my prices, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm available to do work, and I'm now booking my time for this new year. And it's a great way to really put yourself back in the mind of whoever you're emailing and potentially get work that way. The next tip is to set a time for web surfing. So as I mentioned before, when you're hunting for jobs, really have a time in the morning, in the middle of the day, in the evening, whatever it is, have a time, and don't worry about trying to look the rest of the day, because you could go crazy looking for work for 24 hours a day. The next tip is to be creative and just go out and take photos. This is the key to being a successful artist, which I think all of you are as photographers. And you really need to just get out there, take photos, keep learning and learning new styles, new tricks, new editing techniques, and you just have to really be creating more content. And I've realized that all of the people that I know who keep creating content and are doing it, they are the ones that are most successful and the ones that are making the most money and finding the most work, because they're out and about. And even if they're just doing it for their personal self, people see it and people like that about photographers. And lastly, just be confident. It's hard being a new photographer, I know, to sort of pitch prices and pitch to people and try to get clients, but it's like a snowball. Once you get one, it will increase slowly, but the more and more jobs you get, it seems like the easier it is to get even more jobs, and that's just a funny catch-22, but seriously, once you have jobs, it's easier to find a job, and the more people that you know and reach out to, I'm sure that you'll find work, so be confident. Okay, so those were some tips for finding freelance photography work. I hope you enjoyed them, and we'll see you in the next lesson where we'll be talking about unique ways to dive into photography.